All right, good evening. This is What's Up with the News. So, after the whole day of reading everything that's happening in the news, it's time to sort of like sit back and maybe react to some of the craziness that we are actually seeing play out on various levels. I'd actually started off thinking that we will take the bogus voting story in Gujarat, or we should also, another argument was the Sandesh Kali U turn, which we'll also talk about. But the thing that we really need to talk about at this point is the stock market and its very interesting reactions. It is completely tanked today. Over 1,000 points of the Sensex lost. Um, and see, I'm always a big fan of long-term equity investment. So I always see every correction or every dip as an opportunity to invest some more. I personally don't do direct stocks at all. I feel that it takes up too much time and energy. I prefer to go the mutual fund route. I've done so for a couple of decades now. And I'm finding this correction very, very interesting. So that's really what we want to talk about. Aru Basu is in. He says, "What's up?" Shelty is also in. Quick reminder, please, first of all, do me a couple of favors. Like this stream, it'll pop it up on the algorithm. Two, subscribe to our channel. We're at literally 299,000. We need a few more subscribers to go up to hit 300,000. So that would be a nice place to be. Tell your friends and family about what we're doing here. And also, if you could join our membership, it would be great because that would give us a sort of financial fillip that we need as well to do more and more content for you. We're waiting for a few more people to join in. If you're already in, pop in and say hi. Tell me what you've been doing these days. Anoj is here. Anoj is a member. Hi, Anoj. Thank you for joining us on a daily basis. It is a pleasure to have you. Sheldy has been one of our supporters from the beginning. He's also a moderator on this channel. Arubasu was the first one here today and is also here on a regular basis. So do come in and say hi if you're already here. We're waiting for a couple of more people to come in and then we'll start the conversation. So, really, I want to start today talking about the stock market and about our investments because I feel like we don't talk about finances enough, and it's something that I personally love. Um, One of the things that I did realize, of course, is that um, inflation, and we tend to not realize it that much because we're privileged enough to not have to pinch those corners on the prices of tomatoes or garlic or whatever else it is. But if you consider over a period of time, just ordinary things that you buy in the house, right? So your rice and your dals and your oils and everything else has become substantially more expensive. I actually did this exercise today because I was reacting to the stock market and I was looking at investment opportunities. Then I was looking at how much, sort of spare savings I have at the end of the month. And I'm like, inflation is not leaving too much on the table. And I just wondered if I'm the only one who's feeling like that, or are some of you feeling like that as well? So we have some comments. Madhu Kiran is here saying hello. Mohan is here saying if black money is being sent in tempos and the PM knows it and his government is not acted, who is responsible? Very interesting. So you're talking about the Ambani Adani statement that the Prime Minister made, where he basically said that how come Rahul Gandhi is not saying Ambani anymore? Has he got truckloads of money from them? And I'm just like, there are so many questions to ask about that statement, really. Um, who's getting truckloads of money? Are we aware of the fact that truckloads of money are exchanging hands? Um, aren't Ambani and Adani considered, businesses that are holding up this country right now? And if you believe that they're doing wrong, that there is wrongdoing, shouldn't there be something done about it? So Shelby says the cost of a large number of basic food items has gone up, including veggies. And you're right. And of course, there's this fear, right, about the fact that our masalas have carcinogenics in them, that our vegetables have pesticides, that the chicken that you buy is full of antibiotics, the milk that you buy is problematic on various levels. So now you're being pushed to consider more organic options, which are more expensive, and that generally drives the household budget even further. Is that something that you are facing as well? And that's something that I'm facing personally, and I'm just like, wow, this actually costs it winds up it costing a lot more than we had expected it to simply run a house. So I was just wondering about what everybody is feeling. So I want to take you straight now. Let's get started with the news. Let me see if I can share my screen. And we'll start with the stock market. So this is CNBC TV 18. I used to work for CNBC TV 18 when I started my career um, as a reporter who covered finance, personal finance and investments. So this is what the headline says. Terrible Thursday. The Sensex falls over 1,000 points. Investors lose 7 lakh crore rupees. What has spooked the stock market? So if we, this is the top gainers, the top losers, the price shockers, volume shockers. Okay. So basically, there are a couple of reasons. One is fourth quarter earnings from the large cap companies, from the very large companies, are apparently a little lower than what we expected. Domestic stocks eroded 7 lakh crore rupees. One of the things to look at is this, what we call the India volatility index, right? So it marks how much the market is likely to swing, and it has really it's risen. This volatility index has risen for the 11th consecutive season. So now this expert view, it says basically the volatility is coming from uncertainty surrounding the general elections. There's also, the Fed Reserve decision. So basically, the possibility of, rate cuts, or is there a possibility of a rate cut in the US that seems to be moving a lot of the foreign money around. But it's really the fact that if you look at this article here, voter turnout ratio is lower, and everyone's wondering what impact that's going to have on the results. I beg your pardon. And so the possibility that it might not be a Purna Bahumat for the BJP and we might be looking at a coalition is making the stock market nervous. And that is what you're seeing right now. In fact, just yesterday, the Mint had put out this article that said 5 reasons why the Indian stock market is falling ahead of the Lok Sabha election outcome. And I just want to take you through those 5 reasons. One is FIIs, which are foreign investors. They are selling. They've continuously been selling, apparently, in the May session. Second is pre-election jitters. So basically, because that voter turnout in these first 3 phases has been lower, people are wondering if this means that the BJP might not get the kind of seats that it thought it would get. Now, and of course, there's premium valuation, which means that the Indian stock market already run up a little bit, so the prices were high. And so it's likely that it will come down further. An unimpressive Q4 earnings. So this I'd already told you about, that the quarterly earnings of large companies were not as interesting as they were expected to be. They were not as impressive as they were expected to be, and there was a lack of fresh triggers in the market. So no new news. But I want to point out here for people who understand the stock market. So this, it's very easy to draw a line here saying, oh, the stock market really wants the BJP to come into power, and it feels that if the BJP doesn't come into power, then the economy will not do well, and that's why the market is coming down. That's a very simplistic sort of idea. The larger idea to look at is that people in the stock market are only always looking for a profit. So there was an assumption going into the election that the BJP would win, and that as a result, there were people who bought stocks and the stocks went up because they were buying. That's what makes stocks go up. So now the stocks have reached a certain level, and that is what you call your premium valuation. And so they're selling, because they made their profit. And the assumption is, let's wait for the election results to come out. So if the election results turn out to not be very positive for the BJP, and there's actually a dip in the market on the day of the results, which is the 4th of June, they will come back and buy a lot, because that's a great opportunity to tank up on Indian stocks that are going to do well anyway. So there are various ways to look at it. A lot of it is fundamentally profit driven, and it's not a testimony as to how our economy will function, because our economy tends to function well either ways. But this is what we're looking at. Pre-election jitters are causing our stock market to actually come down quite drastically, and we're likely to see that play out over the next few days. Let me see some of the interesting comments that are coming in right now. Yogesh says a very nice post. Joel Arana, coalition government steering foreign investors. India has done its best development under coalition government. So foreign investors are also pulling off because they're expecting a rate cut in the US. Remember, the US's rates are already fairly low. If they cut them even further, that's that. So foreign investors tend to move in and out quite quickly. If I'm not missing, let me just go back to that. Yes. According to experts, the biggest reason for recent volatility is a strong sell off by foreign investors. FI sold off equities worth 982 crore rupees. They're constantly selling, which has caused nervousness among retail investors. They normally don't buy before the general election, they wait for the election outcome. This is G. Chokalingam has made this statement saying foreign investors tend to pull out. They wait for the election to play out and then they come back in, and that's possibly what we're seeing. There's also an old stock market saying which is sell in May and go away. So people May tends to be a volatile month, so they sell everything and wait for May to play out and come back in June and buy again. All right, let's move on to other stories. This one. This is a story I'm reading out of Scroll. That's the headline. Now, the Gujarat police have picked up two BJP workers for bogus voting and live streaming of the bogus voting. This is an Indian Express report. The two men identified as Manoj Magan and Vijay Babur were arrested. And apparently, they actually walked into the booth and they were live streaming as they can on the Facebook account as they entered the poll, and they actually started to press the BJP this thing and vote multiple times. You will be happy to know that the election commission has called for repolling in that particular booth. Now, this particular individual, Babur, had also picked up the election voting machine in his hands and started dancing about. Now, the video has triggered controversy and is being widely shared on social media, sort of asking questions also about, what the election commission is really doing. But in this case, we know the election commission has junked the voting and has called for, a repoll in that particular area. See, this is the original article in the Indian Express. So Vijay, as Gaurav is pointing out, is the son of a BJP leader. He's also said that this EVM belongs to my father. And that's the story on the Indian Express as well. He's heard saying, give us 10 minutes, we're sitting here. Polling is going on since morning. It does not work like that. Only the BJP can run. Machine Apun Bapu Che, which is basically this machine belongs to my dad. The superintendent has told the Indian Express that the duo have been arrested under sections of the Representation of People's Act as well. Well, I must point out in this case, the Election Commission and the police have taken action, which is a good thing. Now, this is the other case that has come up today. I'm reading it out of NDTV. In Sandesh Koli, you will know that there were multiple women who complained and filed rape complaints. One of them apparently has now withdrawn her complaint, and she has said the BJP made her sign a blank paper and then wrote a false rape complaint in her name. The development has intensified criticism and political blame. There's also a story here, on the Times of India. It says that one of the three Sandeshkali women whose rape complaints against removed functionaries stoked unrest in Bengal now says that she did not face that kind of assault, and the BJP members had made her sign a blank sheet of paper and approach the police. So this is a massive U-turn that's coming up at this point. In fact, this is worse, right? She's saying that a local Mahila Morcha functionary came to her home and told her to sign what would be a fictitious complaint. They told her that they will enlist her for the Awas Yojana, which gives houses to poor. And they took me to the police station to lodge a complaint. No sexual assault has happened on me in the Trinamool office. I was never forced to go to the party office late at night. So this was actually a trope that was used a lot. Say they were being asked to go to party offices late at night, and then they were being raped and they were kept there by TMC workers. See, it's not entirely all clean, right? She's also said that she and her family are facing a social boycott engineered by local BJP functionaries ever since she decided to complain, and she's feeling unsafe and she's asked the police for help. So that's the latest story that's come up, on the Sandesh Kali issue. That's really something. There's another Sting video that came up. The problem with Sting videos really in the era of AI, one really doesn't know unless it's forensically checked um, what is doctored and what is not. Let's take a look at a couple of other stories coming in today. Uh, Everyone who was flying Air India over the last 48 hours have had trouble because a bunch of flights in Air India had to be cancelled. And that is this story because Air India Express crew members, about 300 of them, called in sick on the same day last minute and finally switched off their phones en masse, sort of to protest that they were, this merger that is happening between Air India and Vistara and Air India Express and, this Singapore Airlines JV. Apparently now Air India Express has decided to fire 25 members of the crew who had actually called in sick. A sort of sidebar thing that has also happened is that prices of airfares have gone through the roof in Kerala specifically because of this, particularly because Air India Express is the largest player of the international sector in Kerala, handling about 275 flights per week. And because they cancelled a whole bunch of flights between Kerala and the Gulf, prices have shot up from Dubai, Thiruvananthapuram. What should cost about 33,000 rupees is now 63,000 rupees because of this one strike called by the Air India Express, um, pilots. It's super interesting. And for me, one of the things that I find really interesting is in a country like India, which is encouraging so many people to fly, we have news of airlines going bust on a regular basis. I mean, SpiceJet, cancels flights on a regular basis. Go Air is nearly done and grounded. Jet Airways done and grounded. Kingfisher Airlines done and grounded. Now Vistara and Air India will merge. That actually doesn't leave too many choices. The Competition Commission might want to take a look at it. Doesn't leave too many choices for citizens between, say, Indigo and then one large, entity which is Vistara, Air India Express, and the other options all rolled into one. So, interesting sort of space there. Let's take a look at what else is happening here. Some comments from our audience. Kanishk says false allegations just make the lives of actual victims more difficult. Absolutely, you're really right, Kanishk. Umang says opposition should have demanded for his smartphone investigation by independent body. I still think that is also an investigation that should happen in the Prajwal Revana case, which is that there needs to be a forensic investigation done on the videos that everybody's talking about. But we don't know what's happening within that SIT that has been put together in Karnataka. All right, so I'm going to leave you guys here. Thank you so much for joining me in What's Up with the News. Remember to like this stream. Remember to like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel and let other people know that we're doing this on a regular basis. Leave me some comments on how you'd like to do this differently and what else, you'd like me to tackle so we can make this more interesting for you. Gaurav says, Mumbai ready for polls 20th of May. Yes, I vote on the 20th of May. I'm very excited, to sort of exercise that, that duty and that right. Jola Rana, thank you for all of the love. Thank you guys for joining. I'm going to log off today, but we're going to keep bringing you the news. Take a look at the work we do on Instagram, the work we do on YouTube, and of course the Beetroot News app as well. Thanks so much for watching. Good night.